Picture with me that great church tradition held sacred lo these many years, the church potluck. You know how the procedure works. A date is announced. We're going to be having a church potluck covered dish dinner. People who want to come, sign up, list what you're going to bring along. Everybody brings a crock pot full of something, and we all share together whatever it is that's cooking, right? You bring your noodle dish, I bring my casserole, somebody brings pierogies, we all have a good dinner together. Everybody's brought something to share. Now, you know too, chances are if you've hung around the church for very long at all, that the idea of a covered dish dinner is every household who's going to come brings something, right? It doesn't all have to be the same, and there's going to be a variety from the very, very fancy and complex to the very, very simple. Some people just bring cookies or cut vegetables. Other people have been slaving all day in the kitchen. Some people just throw together the same standard casserole they make every time for a church dinner, but that's the basic gist. Now, imagine with me, do a thought experiment, and imagine with me that it's Sunday morning, and the preacher has just announced, don't forget to come back tonight for our covered dish potluck dinner we're having at the church. It's going to be a fantastic, fun time. Just come. Everybody's welcome to bring a dish, but there's a place for you, right? And imagine people talking in the church social hall or wandering down the hallway or the narthex in the afternoon after the service saying, oh, well, we should all plan on coming back for the potluck dinner. And someone who hadn't been planning on coming says, oh, well, potluck dinner. I had not even thought about what to bring. I need to run to the store now and go get something to make for tonight so I can bring. And imagine, there they are. They go back home, they go to the grocery store, they get things to make an elaborate concoction to put in their crock pot, and 8 hours later they arrive at the church with their crock pot full of something, and the party's already over. Because in their insistence on going and making something after the late-breaking reminder they were supposed to bring something, they have missed the actual dinner itself. You might say, in a situation like that, if you're the person who just realizes on the day of the big dinner that there's a dinner happening, that you're welcome to come, you know there's going to be plenty of food. You really don't need to go make something yourself and miss the actual gathering. Just come. There will be enough food. You might say, the real question is, could you trust? Could you trust that when the invitation's given, you're welcome to come to the dinner? Everybody is invited to bring something, but there will be enough. Come and trust. Would you trust that the party would still include you? This, I think, is the scandal at the heart of one of Jesus' most complicated and difficult and honestly frustrating stories that we're going to be hearing this upcoming Sunday. Except instead of that beloved tradition of the church potluck, Jesus imagines a wedding procession. And so there are these girls, young girls, who are wanting to be bridesmaids, and they're excited because their big job is to welcome when the groom comes into the hall, and they have the big celebration, and now the party can get started. And in Jesus' telling, there are these 10 young bridesmaids, 5 of them wise and 5 of them foolish. And the 5 wise ones are thinking, well, we should be ready in case there's some kind of delay. We've got our little oil lamps with us, and we brought some extra oil. This is, of course, in the days before electric lights, and nobody's got their little cell phone flashlight in case they need illumination. Their job is to keep vigil, and there are these 5 who haven't brought any additional preparation. And for some reason, who knows what it is, the bridegroom is delayed. And instead of arriving in broad daylight like everybody reasonably is expecting, he doesn't arrive till midnight, by which time these young bridesmaids had all fallen asleep until they're disturbed by the call, the bridegroom's coming, everybody get ready. So at this moment, the 5 foolish bridesmaids who haven't prepared are like, oh, what are we going to do? Their lamps are going out, they haven't brought any extra oil. And the supposedly wise ones say, you should probably go into town and see if you can get some oil for your lamps, because we got to keep ours for our lamps. And they go, to get oil for their oil lamps, these 5 foolish ones. And when they come back, they've already missed the moment. The bridegroom has come and gone. The thing you want to be there for, they've missed that moment and can't get into the party because now the party's moved on to the next thing. They're already dancing to the DJ's songs on the dance floor and doing the funky chicken, and they've missed the big moment, the thing you're there for, the reason you're there to celebrate, the big moment of arrival of the bridegroom. I want to suggest that what makes the foolish bridesmaids in Jesus' story is not simply that they didn't bring extra oil along with them, but when they realized that they had run out, that they then get so fussy about, we have to make ourselves ready, we got to go get some oil, maybe even taking the advice of the so-called wise ones, that they leave the scene of the party rather than saying, you know what, when the bridegroom comes, we're going to just go in with everybody else. We're already welcomed. We're already part of the wedding party. The thing we don't want to miss is the bridegroom himself. If you are the person who hears there's a church potluck dinner and you think, I can either go right now and join and eat and find a place at the table, or I can go spend all day making something impressive in the kitchen and then show up, but the party will already be over, look, just come to the party. We would rather have you there. There's going to be plenty of food. If you're one of the bridesmaids who realizes you've run out of oil, you can either say, well, I have to look, I can't look foolish like I've run out of oil. I have to go back and get oil to make it look like I didn't do anything foolish. No, just stand there. And if you're standing there in the dark or standing next to one of the bridesmaids who still has oil, fine. No big deal. But come into the party. Be there for the moment that matters. Sometimes I think we church folk, we get so concerned about whether we look like we are doing the right pious thing that we end up missing the moment itself. We end up missing who and what is at the center of ourselves and our faith. It's Jesus. It's about how do we come face to face with Jesus. So Jesus keeps promising there is coming a point in human history when he comes and makes all things new. And in the meantime, we are told we will encounter Jesus in places he has promised to show up. Yep, in the Word. Yep, in the bread and the cup at the table we celebrate week in and week out. Yep, in the faces of one another, including in the hungry and the homeless and the prisoner and the stranger and the sick. Jesus has said, here's places to show up. Don't be so focused on telling other people to look wise or making yourself look like you're ready and prepared that you actually miss the moment you were waiting for, that you miss the encounter with the one you were hoping to see. I want to suggest for us as the followers of Jesus, sometimes it is so easy for us to be more concerned with looking like we are prepared for Jesus coming, that we miss out on Jesus coming among us, that we miss out on actually just showing up and knowing that none of the bridesmaids gets in as a reward for being wise or foolish. When you're asked to be a part of the wedding party, this is a gift the bride or the groom give to you. We want to honor you. We want you to have this role in the wedding. We want you to be there to celebrate. This is the moment we want you to be there for. As it's getting close, don't run away thinking you need to go make yourself look more put together, buying the wine or buying the oil rather for your oil lamp or making something in the crock pot. Don't miss the moment we're waiting for. To be ready for Jesus coming isn't to be doomsday preppers with bunkers in our basements ready for a disaster. To be ready for Jesus coming is even to say, even if I got empty hands, I trust, Jesus, that when your arrival comes, when it breaks into all of human history or when it erupts into my life, I'll be paying attention and won't miss it. All the time we are given opportunities in little moments day by day to see the presence of Christ, to turn our hearts and our attention toward that big grand final culmination of all things when Jesus comes in glory and makes all things new. If I'm so busy in the meantime making myself look respectable or impressive, if I'm worried about whether my bank portfolio looks impressive or it looks like I've done enough religious, pious things so that people will think I'm a respectable religious person, I've missed the point. How can we be ready for Jesus coming even with empty hands? That's the invitation we're going to be exploring this coming Sunday. See you then.